Hello, everyone.
Everyone.
This will be an interesting conversation about translation of contemporary Croatian and Slovenian literature into Greek. We have a special guest, Skali, on the stage. She is very anxious to also say a few words, but we'll come to that later.
She's also bilingual,
In which languages?
Croatian and Greek.
That's great. So she's taking, like she can choose which language she will
Disobey.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I will begin with a story of the Ulysses Shelter project, which started 5 years ago on island Mljet in Adriatic Sea at the Croatian coast, when my colleague and friend Thanos Gogos, here present from Thraka, agreed with myself and people from Slovenian Writers Association to start a project called Ulysses Shelter and to exchange young writers at the literary residences between Croatia, Slovenia and Greece. So that project started in 2018, so actually 6 years ago. And the first guest of the first residency was Greek writer Christos Armando Gezos, who is here with us in the audience. And today, by 2024, already more than 70 writers, poets, translators passed through this project in now already 8 countries that participate in the exchange of the writers. So we will talk a bit about the Ulysses Shelter project and how it excelled or accelerated translation of Croatian and Slovenian writers into Greek, but also vice versa. So today with us are Marija Dejanović and Thanos Gogos from Thraka Publishing, partners on Ulysses Shelter project, but a very lively publisher dedicated to publishing poetry, both in Greek and in translation. And myself, I come from Sandorf Publishing from Zagreb, Croatia. We also do a lot of translations, and we also do translations from Greek to Croatian beside other publications of literature, and both fiction and non-fiction and poetry. Ulysses Shelter, when it started in 2018, it seemed as almost a kind of an experimental project because we gathered only young poets and we gave all the young poets that were chosen to participate in the project, we gave opportunity to go to all 3 places, to all 3 countries participating in the project, and these were Croatia, Slovenia and Greece, as I said. The Greek residence is in Thessaly, at Larisa, and the Slovenian residence is in Ljubljana, and the Croatian residence is at island Mljet in the southern Adriatic coast. So these 12 writers who were chosen, 12 poets actually, who were chosen, 4 from each country, in a course of maybe 6 months, they traveled to all 3 countries respectively, and there they were, of course, had opportunity to write, but also they were having their book events and book talks and participated in festivals and different literary events. And as a result of that project, we published the anthology Ulysses Shelter of these 12 authors. Also published, of course, in Greek, Thraka published it in Greek translation. We did in Croatia. We published it in 3 languages, so it's in Croatian, Slovenian, and Greek. And it rarely there you have books that parallelly follow same texts in 3 languages. But then, curiously enough, among the authors on this list, some of them were in later years translated to some of the 3 languages of the project. So Denis Škofić was translated to Slovenian, Thanos was translated to Croatian, and then I know some poems of the authors participating in this project, like Aljaško Privnikar, Lana Mitraković, Goran Čolakođić. They were translated in different magazines in Croatian and Slovenian, probably also some of them partly in Greek. This opened a whole Pandora's box of new relationships, but of course I mean in positive way, of new relationships in between young writing scene of Croatia, Greece, and Slovenia. So I would like Thanos and Maria to tell us something a little bit more about their vision, how things went since then, and what's happening now, what are the relationships now, and can we say that these 3 countries have better ties and more audience among each other's readership than before?
Yes, I think that even yours and Thanos' cooperation was somewhat of a pioneer effort to connect Croatian and Greek literature, because there are many obstacles that prevent such collaborations to happen more often and more systemically. Primarily, there is a significantly small number of people who are capable to directly translate from Greek into Croatian. Due to University of Humanities and Social Sciences in Croatia not having studies of Greek language that would study modern Greek language. We only have the ancient Greek studies that focus both on culture and on the language, but there is no systemic efforts to enhance this collaboration with contemporary Greece. So when you started exploring the Greek literary scene, starting with the novels, but then branching out onto residencies and onto poetry, I think it was a very good effort to start this. And I'm happy that I joined the project later from Traka's side. First as a participant from Sandorf's side at this very Thessaloniki book fair, but later as Traka, as a manager for Traka. And this collaboration brought us many good experiences, beautiful moments with the residents that we had until now in Larisa. And I think that it is good that the collaboration materialized in books such as Ulises Shelter book or the book by Denis Škofić, and maybe Thanos wants to say more about his perspective on this.
I want to go a bit back. What was existing before 2016 that we started amongst translations of the younger generation of these countries, of poets of the younger, almost none. Like poets from Slovenia, poets from Croatia, poets from Serbia had almost no connection with the Greek scene. After this project, now exist tens of translations and maybe more than 10 books translated in only some years. So creating this residency project created a lot more opportunities and the sorry, I will find the word in English. Τις συνθήκες, I will say it in Greek. So I got lost. Yes, it create yes to do more projects to go on from that point. For example, you get to a residency, then you meet people from the scene of that country, then you get invited to a festival. Then the same happens, you get published to a magazine, people see your work, and then they propose you a book. So it was the base of many collaborations that happened even outside of our project. I'm sorry for being a bit, I'm a bit sleepless. So I give the microphone to Ivan.
Yeah, it's still early. The point of this conversation and the point we want to make is that Slovenia, Croatia, and Greece have much in common. The young generations of writers and young generations in general are in pretty same position in these three countries, socially, economically, even culturally, in a way of influences, interests, and because of the specific geopolitical situation in last 100 years, we didn't have many day-to-day basis ties. And this is something that at least three of us here consider that there is no obstacle and no reason why we wouldn't cooperate more, and why we wouldn't reveal to each other what is going on in our lives, what is going on in our literatures, and especially when I talked with Thanos at the beginning of this project, we realized that there are really similarities in young writers' subjects and approaches to literature. So even the aesthetics, something that we can call maybe Balkan aesthetics, is present in all three young literatures without being actually connected through some common influences, local influences, I mean. But it just evolved somehow endemically in each of the three countries. Surprisingly, Croatia and Slovenia, which are neighboring countries, also don't have so many translations and so many joint projects as one would suppose there would exist. That is also improving in last 10 years or so. But we really want to advocate this exchange, and we believe that in the future we would see much more interest in each other's literature than it was maybe 10 or 20 years ago. I can start from myself as a writer. When I came to Greece first time more than 10 years ago, there was absolutely no translation of fiction authors, prose writers of contemporary Croatian literature from the 1990 till today. Only Predrag Matvejević, he's a historian and anthropologist. He was a historian and anthropologist and a linguist, and only his book, The Mediterranean Breviarium, was published in Greek, but that is not fiction book. So somehow I was honored that my novel was the first contemporary Croatian novel published in Greek language. That was 7 years ago. And then after that, it started happening almost on a yearly basis. So last what I've seen that Ivan Asaikos, that's a contemporary creation writer's novel, is going to be published by a Greek publisher. I'm not I can't remember now which. It's not Metechmio. No, it's not Castagnotis. Castagnotis did Krleža a few years ago, The Return of Filip Latinovic, which is like a Croatian classic. But Krleža is very contemporary, so I consider publication of Krleža today in Greek language almost as a contemporary author. And I borrowed now from Castagnotis' stand Ivo Andrić. Ivo Andrić is a good example of our inner relationships in ex-Yugoslavia, because Serbians claim that Ivo Andrić is a Serbian author, Bosnians claim that he is a Bosnian author, and Croatians claim that he is a Croatian author. So it's almost like we could...
It's like Tesla of literature.
Yes, he is
by
actually...
By merit and by being wanted everywhere.
But you know what's funny about this, like claiming...
Sorry, Ivan, I will call him a fine Yugoslav.
Of course. And he considered himself a Yugoslav author, but today the national literatures that inherited the Yugoslavian literature, they have to now call him different names, so that's why this is happening. But this example is interesting because it's telling us actually that every writer can be claimed, and there's nothing bad in that. I mean, if somebody from Mexico would love Andrić and find a reason to call him a Mexican author, why not? I mean, that's my viewpoint of the literature. The divisions actually shouldn't make much difference.
It is interesting to me now that you mentioned Ivo Andrić, how these borders and ways that the territories are organized into political unions, how little they mean to the identity, what the book is, what the author is, but how much they actually affect the distribution, the translations, the reception. Because, for instance, you talked about how little the Slovenia and Croatia communicate now regarding projects. It's because of the disintegration of the Yugoslavian book market. During Yugoslavian period, it was normal to have a unified distribution, that the books from Ljubljana will come to Zagreb, that they will work together, that they will have one awards, things like that. With this fragmentation, there is much less of collaboration, because now everyone wants to go to the markets that are central, that are massive, Frankfurt, and then from Frankfurt to go towards up to Norway. The horizontal collaboration is not so favored. So in regards to that, I believe that the projects such as this one are very important, because it's connection of basically markets that are peripheral of Serbian, Croatian, Maltese, Greek, Slovenian, very important for me, Czech.
That's right, and one, like I see a kind of a possibly bright perspective in this collaboration, because the Balkan identity is something that was never strictly shaped and never had like strict geographical borders or strict national criteria, like maybe, for example, Scandinavia, but that gives one chance to the Balkan literature, from whichever country wants to call itself a Balkan country, to have this recognizability, being on the margin of Europe, but also being multicultural, being open, opposing to occupation, opposing to divisions. because when we speak about the Balkans in everyday life or in politics or in the news, the first association is always division and difficulty. But where you have division, you always have the opposite force. You have the force that wants to communicate, that wants to interact, to make peace. So most of the writers, most of the Balkan writers throughout last 100 or more than 100 years were looking after that and looking toward that, toward bridging the differences, overcoming the gaps. And that's what actually all of the makes all of the Balkan literatures have could have one common denominator.
And to bring us back to reality, a lot about translation is budget, is getting financially support. For example, Slovenians get a lot of translations in other languages and to Greece because they have really support from Slovenian Book Agency for translation and for printing. We were staying behind as a country in this, now with Greek League, and I hope with the new AKV, the policy, you know, I cannot say it in English, but it's like the department which from ministry that support and makes politics about books. Yes, you are right. Skali kato. Bravo. So it's a lot about having support to promote your books. And then it's about marketing. In Thraca, we have published 2 books from Croatian poets, Monika Herceg, Αρχηγητές Τεταγμένες, and Mareta Janovic, Η καλοσύνη διαχωρίζει τη μέρα από τη νύχτα, and we're ready to publish also Marko Pogačar, a very famous Croatian poet, in summer, and Petra Kolmancic from Slovenia. And we hope for more collaborations, and I give back the speech to Maria, or to Skali, or to Ivan.
Okay, Skali already said what she meant about the Greek support, that she's totally for it. And I brought here Maria's book in English. We did the English edition of her poetry book, Kindness Separates Night from Day. And in Croatia, I have to mention we did several translations from Greek to Croatian, starting with some selected works, novels of Nikos Kazantzakis as a Greek classic, and then contemporary writers like Maria Xilouri or Antonis Georgiou, who is a Cypriot writer, and also Thanos Gogos's poetry Glasgow, which is a great little book, which we also did as an audiobook. That was our first audiobook in Croatia, which has the biggest readership on the audiobook channel where we published it in Croatia.
Did you all hear I'm a bestseller in audiobooks?
Yes, yes. We did it. We published it for free, but you know, we have something like 4,000 downloads.
Maybe we can also announce the new collaboration that we are doing with Society of Writers of Croatia and Thraca this summer. Will to Thessalian Poetry Festival come 2 great writers that are members of Society of Writers of Croatia, Marko Pogačar and Nada Topić, which makes me very happy that the projects such as Ulysses Shelter are now creating new projects that are active cross-sectorally, that now the authors are participating at poetry festivals too, that they will be published in Thraca magazine.
Also, to understand why we are isolated, our project is the only Creative Europe project that exists in Greece in literature with collaboration with other countries. I think we are the only country that has only one project in literature, Diakratiko, I will say it in Greek. And without funding, everything is more difficult for small countries.
Yeah, the question of funding is something that today in Europe is debated, and different countries have different approaches. Big countries, big Western countries, which have more money for the culture, have different foundations and different agencies that finance different aspects of literature, from support to libraries, to publishers, to translators, to designers, to writers themselves, offering different kind of stipends, both from government agencies and from private funds and foundations. But in the Balkans, it's a kind of a struggle, always a struggle for survival. A lot of precarious work, and everybody who work in publishing, I mean not only in publishing houses but in the literary sector, everybody are enthusiasts and giving a lot of their own free time so the work would get done, and from a little bit too little recognition from the institutions that could help more. So in the future, I believe we could also influence somehow the institutions to recognize to recognize the good projects and support them more. And I believe in Greece it will happen that the government institutions will support literature, not only translation-wise, but also domestically, that domestically Greek publishers and Greek authors would have more opportunities, because Greek literature has a great reputation, but you cannot keep up to that if there wouldn't be enough recognition within the country. I'm not criticizing anyone, I'm speaking from a Croatian experience.
One last example of collaboration that happened after Ulysses Shelter, here behind this black box poetry. I think there are videos with video poetry playing all the time. One of the video poems from Dakar, it was made in Maribor in Slovenia by MKC, the cultural department of Maribor municipality, and we were there for 2 days from Ulysses Shelter.
I remember. Many collaborations already happened through Ulysses Shelter project. This is the second book we published a year and a half ago, a second anthology, Library Island, with authors from more countries, because already 5 countries were participating in the project when this book was completed, and today it's, as we said, it's 8 countries, and we are really offering opportunities for the writers, poets and translators from these 8 countries to learn about the literary scenes of other countries when they go there for the residencies, establish contacts of their own, and most important, get new audiences and meet new translators who will translate their work. Maybe we could, as we always in Balkans, as we do, we fantasize a lot, and that's what makes literature interesting. Maybe we could say our wishes for the future. Like, I know we don't have the same wishes, but maybe we could say our wishes out loud, and maybe some of it would come true.
I wish, and often what I wish comes true. So I wish that Robert Perishic's book, A Cat at the End of the World, amazing book, by a Croatian author that was praised by the New York Times. I wish for it to get a Greek translation.
Great. Fingers crossed.
I wish Scully to behave better on stage. And of course, I wish for more collaboration and again for the circumstances to be open and so we can translate more books and our Greek books to be translated abroad, which is more difficult now.
So I will complete this discussion with the wish that one day, not too far from today, readers from all around the world would recognize Balkan literature and say, yes, this is I want a book to read a book by a Balkan author because I know it's always something interesting and it's always about overcoming differences, overcoming struggles, and finding new ways, both in ways of writing and in the subjects.
I will disagree with that. I hate that people from more advanced economically countries, they show interest to us from Greece or from Balkans only when we struggle and it's like drinking our tears. For example, they
But I don't mean war. I don't mean war.
No war. For example, when we had the Greek crisis, then everybody wanted to make an anthology, to make interviews about poets of the crisis. But a lot of the poets were writing for the crisis, but they had to write or to make it seem like it was for the crisis. And you know, wonderful poets weren't translated because their work is
not related to the crisis.
At that time, yes.
So what would be the message about that? Like, how can we change that perception? Should we even bother about that perception or not?
I mean, the similar thing happened to Bosnia, where every poet from Bosnia, every poet, every author has to write about the war. Now, over 20 years after, they still have this imperative inside of them that in Bosnia there is no market for writing, and if they want to go to an existing market, they have to self-exploit in framing their thoughts, their lives. And I meet young authors who were born in the 2000s who tell me, Maria, I want to write a book, but I wasn't born during the war, so I'm asking my grandma about the war. It's insane. So I think that it's a very complex topic. It's about finding the measure to stay authentic to yourself and to do things that would get you more readership. And I think that every person will decide for themselves as they are doing, with taking responsibilities for the outcomes of their choices.
Of course. Yeah, of course we shouldn't be intimidated by anybody else's expectations.
I only have a little bit of war in my book and it's doing good. Does anybody have any questions maybe? Oh, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming, for listening to our conversation, and read the books by Croatian and Slovenian authors in translation. First recommendation, Traka Stand, number 129 in Pavilion 13.
And also, you won't believe, but Scully made some progress because she was here last year, 3 months old, and she was peeing inside. Now at least she behaved better.
Thank you very much.